So this week, I'm going to continue with my talk series on how to use the science of mind. And we are in part 8, the effect of race thought. So I started every talk with this statement because this is the foundation from which I'm building. There is a creative power that is everywhere present. It is always responding to the nature of our thoughts, and we can consciously choose how we use it. There is one creative power. One. It's all powerful. It's everywhere present. And it responds to the nature, to the complete atmosphere of our thoughts. And guess what? We choose how we use that power. And so when I'm talking today about the power of race thought, I'm not talking about race like black or white or Chinese or Caucasian or any of that. Race, the way Ernest Holmes used it, was the human race, all of humanity. So I ask you, because I'm going to be using words that Ernest used, to understand that when I'm saying race here, I'm talking about humanity. So, the law of mind, which is the law of power of the law of cause and effect, the law that creates all things, can only know us as we know ourselves. So the law of mind knows who we are because of who we are. How much do we know about ourselves? How wealthy do we know ourselves? How loving do we know ourselves? How kind do we know ourselves? How healthy do we know ourselves? You see, the law of mind is always producing what we know about ourselves. So whatever our life experience is, it's what the law of mind sees that we know about ourselves. So the process that we have is changing what we believe we are. You see, our knowledge of who we are is the collection of all conscious and unconscious thoughts that we have ever had. This makes up our mental atmosphere. It's who we are. And I think that's real important for me to just dwell on that just a little bit. So what is mental atmosphere? Mental atmosphere are all the conscious thoughts and the unconscious thoughts that you have ever had, ever entertained, have ever been said around you. Realize you've absorbed everything that's said about you. And that is stored in your subconscious mind. Stored in your subconscious mind. So it creates an atmosphere. That atmosphere is who you are. And the key to life is to shift that atmosphere to be a reflection of what you desire your life to be, what you desire your experience to be. That's the work. But here's an interesting thing. The accumulated experience of the whole race is lodged in the subconscious of everyone. So the entire human race, all of that consciousness, is all part of the same subconsciousness that you have. So you wonder why you react a certain way. You wonder why I would think that way. Well, it's because of the collective consciousness. It's because of race consciousness that you're not even aware of that's affecting you. You see, this race consciousness operates through everyone until a passageway is cleared back through the mind to the spiritual presence, which has never been affected by race consciousness. So what we're saying here is that this race consciousness operates through us until we go back into source, into allness, into oneness. And when we go back into oneness, it no longer has an impact. This is why meditation is critical in our lives, why it's important to get into the state of oneness, because here, we heal from race consciousness. It no longer impacts us there because in the oneness, everything is balanced. Because the divine only knows balance. It does not know a one-sided thing. The divine does not know disease. The divine does not know poverty. The divine does not know hatred. It knows none of those things. It knows perfect balance. But you see, in our human form, there has to be contrast. Otherwise, we couldn't have experience. And so the divine is actually experiencing itself through us. While perfection is always at the center of everything, the ages have built up a sense of disease and discord, which has been transmitted from one person to another. So time has built up these patterns. Time has built up these prejudices, and they're transferred from one to another. Our job, if we choose, is to break that passing, to break that habit, to break the influence of what is the race thought to us. It has become the general belief of the entire race, and it is having an impact on the experience of everyone. This is what race conscious does. It is becoming the general belief. There's a general belief about COVID one way. There's a general belief about COVID the other way. That's race consciousness, that there's conflict about that very thing. And it's affecting everyone until we free ourselves and see ourselves in oneness. And when we see ourselves in oneness, we see ourselves as healthy, and COVID won't touch us. In oneness, COVID cannot touch us. See, race thought passes into the life of an individual and more or less hypnotizes everyone. That's what we don't realize when we're constantly bombarded by a set of thoughts. Think about the television. In the newscast, I was in the gym the other day, and I don't listen to the news, but the news is on. There's like 20 TVs going across while I'm doing an elliptical. And they have this, the captions on, closed captions on, so you can see the print. And the headline, it's the same headline over and over and over and over, and you're bombarded with it. What is it doing, folks? It's hypnotizing us. It's hypnotizing us to develop a specific belief. And is it what they're hypnotizing us with, the truth? No, it's not the truth. It's a slanted opinion based on whoever's perspective the news media is having. Realize that today, there is no just fact. Everything out there, doesn't matter what station you're listening to, is an opinion. And that opinion, they're trying to hypnotize you into that. The key thing is, you have the power to form your own view. To form your own view that best serves your life. Our job as practitioners of the science of mind is to free ourselves from the bondage of race suggestion, from the bondage of being race hypnotized. To wake up and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, back into allness, back into I am the master of my mind. I am the master of my body. An individual's subjective and unconscious reactions to life are largely drawn from the sum total of the human experience. So most of the times when we're reacting, it's not us. It's what we've observed in society. It's that collective race consciousness that is using us as a vessel to express itself, because we don't realize we're in a state of hypnosis. You see, the whole race has created a collective field of thought and a belief which seeks to operate through everyone. When you really understand this, you realize why having a deep, daily spiritual practice is essential. Because otherwise, it will be so easy to be drawn in to where the masses are. I'll tell you, in times when COVID started, I increased my spiritual practice because I knew that with all that was going on, I needed to be more grounded, more centered than ever to be able to be a teacher of the science of mind, to be able to pass this teaching on, to support people, to gain their power, because the collective consciousness is being buzzed at us so much harder now than ever, because we have social media. We have all of this media that's nonstop blasting out race suggestion. Because we're all individuals, we cannot wait until the collective unconsciousness of the whole race is cleared up. We're individuals. We can't wait for the collective consciousness, because how's it going to change? Who's going to change it? We as individuals must break down the barriers which tie us to this new belief, to this race belief. We must break down the barriers. And you see, when we break down our barriers, we not only free ourselves, but we help free others, because we start to shift the collective consciousness. Do you get that? That's the power. When we work on ourselves and we shift our consciousness, we're actually shifting the collective. We're putting in the thoughts necessary to move that collective in a new way. I now believe in my mind that COVID is moving on, that it is no longer going to be what it was. I invite you to adopt that belief with me, because as we believe that, COVID can disappear when we get enough people believing. You want to talk about herd immunity? How about herd belief immunity, where we build a herd of conscious beings seeing a healthy world without COVID? That's an invitation I want you to accept. That's an invitation I want you to share with others, because the more of us there are, the quicker we can change the collective consciousness. You see, in spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer, one understands that negative thoughts and conditions are not entities. There is no such thing as a devil. There's no such thing as a disease. There's just a misplaced thought, a misplaced cause. And these disturbances are simply disturbances in the mind. When I talk about a disturbance of the mind, I'm talking about not realizing truth. And the truth is there's only one, and you and I and everyone are individualizations of that one. And when we embody that, it is perfect. All of the negative disappears from our lives. Negative thought patterns do attach themselves to people, either as a result of their own experience or race consciousness. We get attached to things. That's why the Buddha said attachment is a source of all suffering. When we attach ourselves to a negative thought, whether we're personally choosing it or race consciousness comes in and we allow ourselves to be attached to it, oh my God, we're going to have that experience. So you see, because thought and condition are one. When we change the thought, the condition is reversed. Think about that. Since thought and condition are one, you cannot separate them. When the thought is reversed, the condition must change. From the standpoint of the infinite mind, of God, of universal intelligence, of spirit, every moment is a new beginning. But it's up to us to shift our thought atmosphere in order to free ourselves from the power of the collective race atmosphere that is affecting everyone. This is where the great master came in, and he said, "It is done unto you as you believe." But what we've said, it's done unto us as we believe. I think it's time we take back our power and reclaim it and embody it is done unto us as I believe, and be responsible for our belief, because just like the infinite, every moment for each of us can be and is a new beginning. Isn't it time we embrace that?